to another video. It's been a while, primarily because I recently moved to a new place and I had some issues, and these issues were noise related and still are, unfortunately. I moved to an apartment that has a shared wall with my landlord's house, and I didn't realize how much noise transfer there would be between us, especially footsteps. We both have hardwood floors, and because of that, I hear footsteps as if they're elephants, but they're not. So anyway, I've been dealing with that, and with ants. Yes, I have wildlife, so there are lots of things going on. But I'm back with this fabulous book, the Kingfisher Science Encyclopedia, and it has short type of articles on different topics, and I started reading some of them. So I'm going to just look at some topics and see if there's any that I would be interested in. So one of the first one that I will stop is this one, and here it says that when a seed starts to germinate, it splits and a primary root is formed and pushed downward. So that's the primary root, and all other roots grow out from this main root, like it's shown on this picture. The stem grows up from the hypocotyl, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this correctly, through the soil. So it forms a stem, and the cotyledons break out of the seed coat, and these are these little thingies. I'm not really sure what they are, and then roots begin to grow and the first leaves form as the stem grows up towards the sunlight. So when it comes to different plants, male and female, some plants, squashes for instance, produce separate male and female flowers on the same plant, and others such as a willow and holly trees produce them on separate plants. Holly trees that have only male flowers need to never have really berries, and only female date palms produce dates. Kind of interesting, right? And so, seeds but no fruit. There are other plants apart from ferns and mosses that do not have seeds seeds and fruit. Conifers are just one example. And conifers are mainly trees or shrubs, and many of them, like pine trees, have very thin pointed leaves called needles, and we know all about them. And almost all conifers have tough cones, and male cones have pollen, and female contain ovules or eggs. So the wind carries pollen from male to female to make seeds. Kind of interesting, right? How each plant is so different. And here there are pictures. Fruit may not look alike, but they all have the same function. Many of what we call vegetables, including tomatoes and scarlet runner beans, are in fact fruit because they contain seeds. So squash, tomato, samar, pear, dates, peas, blackberry, acorns are all fruit. And a coconut palm produces huge fruit. Palm nuts may drift across the sea and take root on islands that are thousands and thousands of miles away. So that's the fruits and plants. Now let's take a look at the tree. I don't know how many of you have been in the beautiful sequoias in California, but I, as you remember, used to live there and nearby Yosemite and Kings Canyon National Parks, and I would hike within those beautiful trees like pictured right here. And this is giant sequoia in Sequoia National Park in California. Sequoias are shorter than redwoods but thicker. These conifers can live for over 4,000 years. Now when a tree is cut, you can see the annual growth rings in the slice of a trunk. The outer bark or cork is the layer of dead tissue. So here on this picture it would be here. Dead tissue. And this is hard and protects the softer living parts inside of this tree. Bark can stretch and let the trunk and branches grow more thickly underneath. And under the bark, most trees in the phloem carrying food through tiny tubes. And the inner wood or xylem is stiffened with waxy substances for extra strength. And some of the younger xylem acts as a network of tubes to carry water or sap from the roots to the leaves. And then other plants move water through xylem, but cannot stiffen it to make wood. It is the stiffness of the wood xylem that gives the trees their rigidity and allows them to grow so much taller than other plants. Kind of interesting. And let's talk about medicine plants. And I know a lot of different places races, nationalities use medicine as, the plants as medicine. I, for example, am used to use valerian root as a natural calming agent. You can actually buy it at any pharmacy, and I usually take a pill or two if I have trouble falling asleep or relaxing, and it really helps. Although I'm not a doctor, so I cannot recommend it to anyone, but it works for me. But in South America, the bark of the cinchona tree was used to produce quinine. Quinine, is that how you say it? A drug used to fight malaria. And so similarly, the leaves of foxgloves contain digitalis, a drug that is used to treat heart complaints. Digitalis. Okay, and then drugs taken from plants and can have both good and bad uses. So morphine, for example, is a valuable painkiller drug that's made from opium poppy. Although heroin derived from morphine is a harmful drug, and don't use that stuff, it's bad for you. Alright, let's see if there's anything else. Look at these beautiful butterflies. Here's a picture of a butterfly clinging to a twig as blood flows into new wings. And then there's a beautiful butterfly when the wings are hard and dry, and butterfly flies away. And that was part of a life cycle of a monarch butterfly. Let's see what else. Let's go further. How sight works. So that's our eyeball. There's a lens, cornea, upside down image on the retina. So whatever we see, it's upside down. And light rays enter the eye. They're refracted or bent by the cornea right here to focus them on the retina, right in the back of your eye. And then the ciliary muscle alters the thickness of the lens. This is the lens to focus light from close or far away objects. And the iris controls the amount of light entering the eye. Isn't that amazing how things work? And this is a picture of a human eye, and there's a lacrimal tear gland right over here, right above your eyelashes and eyelid. There's cornea covering iris and pupil, sclera, which is the white part of your eye. And there are openings to tear canals right over here, and there's a lacrimal tear canal. And then there's lacrimal tear duct that extends right beyond that into the nasal cavity right here. Anatomy is a fascinating thing, wouldn't you agree? Oh, this is my favorite part. You all know that I am a dental hygienist, right? So teeth have always been my favorite. So let me show you what goes in the structure of the tooth. So the tooth is covered by what's called enamel, and I'm sure many of you have heard different things about enamel, but the truth is that enamel cannot really be restored. I know it's kind of strange to hear that because the ads say that, or at least they show enamel growing back together. That actually that does not happen. If your tooth is sensitive, those toothpastes that claim to grow back your enamel or close together the enamel, they basically fill it in. They don't necessarily close it. And it does desensitize the tooth, but it just does not work how to describe. But going back to the anatomy. Right under enamel, speaking about enamel, it is the hardest part of your body. Very hard structure. There's dentin, which is right underneath, and it's much softer. So, if you have some tooth decay and maybe some recession of the gum, where the gum shifts downward from where it's supposed to be or upward, the root shows up, and that is different color, like yellowish. That is dentin. It is much softer and more prone to decay. Now, under dentin is the pulp cavity, which is the life of your tooth. It has multiple blood vessels. If you have a live tooth, meaning that the doctor did not perform a root canal yet. And that's really the three main components. So your crown of the tooth is what you see above the gum, and the root lies right below. But like I said, sometimes the gum shifts downwards, exposing the root, and in this case, you have to be very particular about brushing and flossing thoroughly so that the root is not decaying. And then there's a gum right here. You can see on this picture. There's some nerves demonstrated, and this part is the root. And this is the bone surrounding the tooth. And as you know, you have a set of baby teeth and adult teeth. I can talk about teeth forever, so let's move on. But if you're interested to learn more, I can go into more details about how to take care of your teeth and what products to use and what I use regularly to protect your teeth and make sure that you keep your teeth for the rest of your life. Let's move on to the last topic. Let's do something on water. Let's talk about water. Did you know that at standard atmospheric pressure, water freezes at 0 degrees centigrade and 32 Fahrenheit and boils at 100 degrees centigrade and 212 Fahrenheit? Yeah. And although water is the most familiar chemical substance, it has lots of unusual properties. So, for example, ammonia and hydrogen sulfide, both very similar to water, but are both compounds of nonmetal with hydrogen. They're heavier than water molecules. Both are gases at room temperature, and water is liquid. And a water molecule has an oxygen atom bonded by two hydrogen atoms. And the oxygen atom pulls electrons away from hydrogen atoms. small negative charge, while the hydrogen atoms have positive charges. And these charges attract water molecules to each other, making water excellent solvent for charged particles. 70% of Earth's surface is made up of water, so covers, and 97% of water is in the oceans. Mostly the remaining 3% is ice and snow, and less than 1% is in lakes and rivers. So, for as far as the supplies, water is taken from reservoirs, rivers, and underground wells to supply homes. And there are water treatment plants that make water fit for drinking, that basically kills organisms and removes solid matter. So here's an example of water treatment plant that receives maybe water from a lake, river, or a stream. So there's a pump, and so it goes through a filter to remove large objects, and then it filters through a coarse sand filter, and then it goes into a sediment tank. Fine sand filter is another one, then goes through chlorine, through a pump, very elevated storage tank, to our homes and other places. Fascinating how much is done to purify and make our water clean. We take it for granted, but if you look at some of the third world countries where they struggle to get clean water, it's impressive that we're able to provide our countries with water. Let's appreciate that. I am going to finish up for today with this wonderful topic of water. Maybe you can go and have a glass of water. In the meantime, remember to be kind to one another and take care of yourself.